actually.
Hello, hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, my favorite day. I am Stephanie Gillison, the co-founder of Veridomo, and today we are talking about something that I absolutely love. We are talking about how do you pressure test a developer before you commit. I have story after story after story. Hannah is here with me today. She's heard some of these stories. She even said we should do a storytelling hour, and we will arrange that, won't we, Hannah? We will do that one day. We'll dive in deep.
Definitely. Stephanie has some really, really good stories, and we're going to do some story time sessions on here that are going to be very, very interesting to a lot of people.
Entertaining, but actually true stories too. Some scary, some fun, some great, some that could be Hollywood, you know?
Maybe one day we'll have a movie.
Let's dive in. Come on, let's get with it.
Awesome. So today we're actually discussing something that doesn't get nearly enough attention in global real estate, which is the developer. Buyers spend hours reviewing floor plans and views and amenities and finishes, but very few stop to ask the most important question, which is who's actually building this and can they deliver? I know this is very interesting to you, Stephanie, because you are a developer yourself as well. So we have firsthand experience from both sides here, which is awesome. So let's talk about why that developer risk matters. Let's start with the basics. Why is developer risk so critical in global property?
Well, I mean, you've got to think about this for a second. You know, when you're buying pre-construction, you are effectively financing that developer's or that builder's business plan. Think about that for a second, right? You're buying pre-construction, so it doesn't exist yet. And so that is money that you're putting into as a form of a deposit. And so you're financing what it is that they're doing. So you're advancing capital to them. You're trusting their projected timelines. You're relying on the projected demand, and you're depending on financial discipline of that developer. But, you know, if the developer is weak, look, even a strong location can't save a project if a developer is weak. I have seen over and over again where I have been called in to represent a project. And when I do my research, for example, I had one a couple weeks ago where, oh, we've heard you're the best. We want you to represent our project. You all, we're in 2026. I did the research. He has had this condo building under construction since 2018, and it is still just the concrete shell. He's got 9 pre-sold, 9. If I was one of those 9 that advanced a deposit to him, I would have already had his you know what. And people who know me know exactly where I was going with that. You all have to understand, it is so important to know. So then I started to ask some questions just because I wanted to get prepared for this webinar. And I already knew the answers, okay? But I said to him, how long have you been under construction? Oh, just a couple years. Lie number 1. So when are you going to be complete? We will be finished December of 2026. BS. You cannot get material to an island that fast. You can't do it. I can't do it here in the States. You can't do it out in the Caribbean. You can't do it. You can't do it. All right, I'm going to pause there because, Hannah, you know I can take this to all kinds of limits.
Absolutely. So basically what you're saying is if the developer is weak, even a strong location can't really save the project, right? So talk to me about what that developer risk includes.
Well, I mean, you've got to think about this, okay? every single risk. You've got developer equity. How much money is in the project? Okay. You've got the funding. How are they going to be doing that? You've got capital shortfalls, construction delays, regulatory issues, design downgrades, quality. I mean, think about this for a second. Quality compromises. Things change. Climate changes. Okay. A market could be as great as can be, but the execution can destroy everything. I don't know. Can I tell this for a second? He might be listening to me, and so I'm going to apologize up front, but we were representing this building, and it was 8 stories high. And I'm looking at the plan, and this is my bad because we're like 8 weeks in, and I go, "Where's the elevator?" He goes, "There isn't one." I go, "What?" Could you imagine climbing 8 flights of steps or 8 stories, all those steps, carrying your booze, carrying your groceries, carrying your luggage? And he wanted 1.5 million for those condos. I said, "Buddy, you better figure out how to put an elevator in these things."
That sounds about right. So you just mentioned earlier developer equity. Let's talk about funding. What should
Yeah.
buyers understand about how those projects are financed?
Well, you have to understand, okay, you need to be able to ask, okay, developer, how much equity do you have in this project? Okay. Because every project has got to be funded through some type of combination of cash from the developer, bank financing, or maybe family office financing, private lending, buyer deposits, right? You want to know how much equity is the developer putting in? Is construction financing already secured? Are pre-sale thresholds required before the construction's even going to begin? Okay. That right there is the most important question, because they might think this market is so super hot. We're going to sell 10 of these units right away. And then we'll have the money to start this development. Well, okay. Let's say that's the plan, and you don't tell those first 5 buyers that, and you only get 5 pre-sales, and then the project never starts, and it's delayed, and it's delayed, and it's delayed, and it's delayed. These are questions you have to ask, and if they can't answer it, red flag, absolute red flag. Look, I'm a developer, I'm a builder, as Hannah said. It is completely fine where I ask a buyer all the time to show me the money, right? Show me the money. Show me your pre-approval letter. Show me your bank letter. Show me your proof of funds. Feel free, please, to ask me that in return. I have no problem. A real developer, a real builder has absolutely zero problem proving to their clientele that they are liquid. Does that make sense?
Exactly. That definitely makes sense. So basically, if a project is heavily dependent on future sales to fund that construction, that does increase risk. So those strong projects usually have the secured construction loans, the meaningful developer capital at stake, and the real financial backing, and not just the deposits. So if buyers are essentially funding construction, they need to know the capital structure. That's super important for us to know. Now, let's talk about track record and delivery history, which is extremely important in cases like this. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: a developer's past performance, right? You've got to understand. Have they even done a project before? Like, is this a dream? Is this? I've always wanted to develop on the island. Let me go start and do it now. You've got to know how many projects have they completed. Were they delivered on time? I spoke to a real estate broker in St. Lucia, and he said to me, that developer has never finished one project. Don't put those listings on AirDomo. And that is such great information to know and to have, right? Because if they've never completed a project, that means they don't know what they're doing. I'm never going to have or represent a project that is never going to get delivered, right? Because they can't deliver on time, they can't promise quality, and what's ever going to happen? They're going to go under, and the buyers are going to get stuck. Okay. And so if a developer has completed projects, how many have they completed? Where are they? Can you go and see them? Were they delivered on time? Talk to some of the people that purchased there, right? They should be able to give you references without any problem whatsoever. Were they delivered as promised quality, or did they get downgraded, right, during construction because costs went up?
Yes.
That can happen as well too. A developer who only operates in a booming market truly hasn't been tested either. So recommend speaking to prior buyers, visiting completed projects, check litigation records. Have they ever been sued? Okay. A lot of information is available out there, but we have access to this information, and this is what we do every day so that we are here to protect you. But also reviewing the financial statements if available. Look, I have no problem. Clients work with me because I have no problem asking for them to prove their financial worth, right? So you don't have to worry about asking that question to a builder or a developer because I got you. I will do that.
So you raised a couple of really important points there. Tell me, what does it mean if they, for example, rebranded multiple times as a developer?
Oh, well, because they failed under one brand, so they had to change their name, right? I mean, they have to keep changing their name because maybe they have a track record online. This project failed under this name, so they rebrand it so that they can get a new website. Google, isn't writing bad reviews about it, and it's completely, has a new identity. So that is a huge, huge indicator that there's a problem. So you definitely want to investigate that because, again, it's not automatically a negative, but it definitely requires further investigation for sure.
Understood. Beyond funding and history, what structural questions should buyers ask?
You have to look at the legal framework. Definitely have to look at this because you have to see, is there escrow protection for the deposits? What happens if the builder goes under? Where's your money? Is it protected? Is it coming back to you? Are funds from other projects coming into this project, or are these funds being used in other projects? Are there penalties for delays? What protections exist if the developer defaults? Here's what you have to do. A lot of developers are going to have their own contract, okay? They're going to have their own contract written, and it's going to be heavily, heavily for the developer side, okay, for their protection. But ask for that up front. Don't ask for it when you've decided to purchase. Ask for that before you've made the decision to purchase. I always say it's a great way to understand character, right? And to see how that is worded. And then also too, understanding jurisdictions, because different jurisdictions require different things. There's a lot of countries and a lot of areas that do not allow for developers to receive deposit money. It's not allowed legally. They cannot receive it. It has to be held in an escrow account. So if you're in one of those areas, and this is our job to know this, but if you're in one of those countries and a developer asks you for a deposit and it is against the law, red flag, right? Definite red flag. But also too, there's jurisdictions around bank guarantees. There's jurisdictions around construction insurance, and there's just everything. Who owns the land, right? Is it permitted? Is permits required? And is this project fully permitted? Was there zoning approvals, that were required? And did those get finalized? All of those things are real, and they do happen in most markets. And so they do exist. So there's so much that goes into this.
So let's get very practical. If you were to give us a list of red flags that buyers most commonly overlook, what does that look like?
Delivery timeline, unrealistic delivery timelines. You know, here's where I have to always intervene and just say, look, we're gonna, even if it happens, I would rather over deliver, right? I would much
Mhm.
rather say it's going to be 2 years and then deliver it in 18 months, right? Also, too, nobody can guarantee rental returns without super, super strong backing. Okay. There will be some developments out there where they'll have management companies in place. And the management company will say, we guarantee 120 nights or 140 nights of rental income. Who's that management company? How are they going to get this? You need to meet that management company. You need to understand how are they going to obtain that? And what if they don't obtain that? That's aggressive. We need to understand that. Super aggressive marketing language. You all, oh my goodness, it makes me so mad. I get so angry. Hannah, you've seen me get angry. You see these cap rates advertised. We guarantee
Yes.
11% return on your money. No one can guarantee you all that, especially in a market. And the people in Tulum are going to get upset with me right now, but I have to tell people the truth. In Tulum, there is so many condos for sale that you can go there and stay for like $19 a night in something very luxury. Okay. 19 bucks a night you can rent. So how is anybody going to spend $2 million on a condo and then make 11% return on their money? It's never going to happen. Okay. So common sense, right? Sometimes has to
Yeah.
get in. But the signs actually say it. You'll go and see the signs. You'll see it on agents' social media. They'll say anything, right, to get a sale. You have to look at that
Definitely.
aggressive marketing language. And look, heavy early discounts to stimulate sales. There was a developer that said, give them 50% off if they buy before December 15th. I go, what? I'm not going out and saying 50. No, that looks like the scam of the century.
Definitely.
So, look, lack of transparency. There's so many red flags. I mean, again, I get really passionate about this because it is, I deal with it every day. I deal with it every day. And, you know, I dealt with this just last week, as a matter of fact. And I called the guy. I said, you know what? You're overcompensating. You are overcompensating. You are not legitimate. Send me your
Mm.
papers, send me proof, send me, and have I received anything? No.
Sounds about right. Oh man. So, okay, we have our checklist. Now, let's touch on one more thing before we wrap up, and that's something that's very important to us because we do a lot of branded residences.
Yes.
Do they reduce risk?
They do. They do. Because branding can help. It doesn't eliminate it completely, but here's the thing about branded residences. You take these big brands that care about their name. They care about their reputation. They absolutely want to be held to a much higher standard. And so they're taking these developers through a totally different vetting process. Okay. And so, you know, you have to look at the brand itself. Is the brand licensing only or are they operationally involved? Okay. Who's actually
Mhm.
responsible for construction? Is the brand in the construction or is it developers solely on their own? Is the brand financially invested? Because that also plays a role in everything. All right. So a
Mhm.
luxury brand can bring quality control standards. They can also bring marketing power, which means things will sell a lot quicker and for more money. They can also bring the long-term management. And this is where you really get to see the benefit of having a branded residence, especially when you're looking for, you know, quality care and even some short-term rental income. But the developer still does control the capital and they control the execution. So if they are not good at managing their money, or if they are not good at actually getting something built, that's where your risk comes right back in. So brand, again, it helps. It's a layer, but it's certainly not a guarantee. And I think that's where, I love branded residences because I look at it as an insurance policy. They've done preliminary vetting, but I still have to do some more. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And like I said, the developer still controls the capital and execution, but brand is definitely something that plays a huge role. Thank you, Stephanie. This conversation is really important because once our clients commit to a project, their leverage decreases. So giving people this information ahead of time is really, really helpful. For everyone watching, if you're evaluating a developer or considering pre-construction or off-plan project and you want to help pressure test it objectively, we're definitely here to help. You can book a call with us or share the project with us for a review. And of course, explore the already vetted global developments on airdemo.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.